Hey everyone, Dave here, Head of Customer Success for CX Experts. Good to be back in this series of videos on basic explainer videos of Zendesk and how we think it can help. So what you're seeing here at the moment is a Zendesk Help Centre, one that I built. Now, something you need to know about me is that I'm in no way technical. I can spell HTML and I can spell API, but we have a very talented team of developers who know how those things work. And why am I telling you this? Only to point out the fact that it is easy to create a help center like this. This one took about 30 minutes for me to create with different colors, pictures, logos, and then filling it with content. So this is for a fictitious company called Lemon Electrics, hopefully an Apple competitor. It is hypothetical. We don't actually exist, but this URL is something you can go and explore and play with if you want to. So this is where your knowledge would live, your FAQs. Now, one of the things that we're noticing, one of the ideas that we're noticing around the world is that to gain access to a help center is very difficult on some websites and for some companies. This helps solve that problem. So any knowledge that you would want your customer to know can be edited, uploaded into the Zendesk Help Center, and it's as simple as editing or uploading a Word document. And in these documents or articles, we are able to nest them in different categories, different sections, so we can group it a bit more. And in these different articles, we have a whole host of options available to us. We can put in words, obviously. All the formatting is available: bold, italic, underlined, hyperlinks. We can put in images, we can put in videos, we can put in GIFs. This exists as a single repository for all the information that you think your clients or customers would ever need to know. And again, it is as easy as editing a Word document. You don't need to submit a JIRA ticket if you want to remove a full stop or a comma. And that is a personal learning of mine, having to have done this in the past at a different company and a different business. So all your knowledge lives and exists in a single place here in your help center. We can make it look how you want. Various templates available. And again, this took me about 30 minutes to build one night in a hotel while I was staying in Joburg. We have a whole bunch of other things available here to us, which I'll take you through now. So anyone can search, which I think is really cool. No one actually goes and looks for articles anyway. Someone can search for, I want to see articles on refunds, and they can come and search your FAQs. And again, what we're trying to do here is basically deflect and empower the user to answer their own question. So I'll go back to the home page, and at the bottom you'll just see, we can see recent activity, as well as a footer that can match the footer on your website. So two different sections that I want to point out in this demo of the Help Center. Number one is that have you ever received the question, did you get my query? Or what's happening with my query? Or what's happening with my request, etc., etc.? This Help Center solves that. So any user, and again, you have the choice here. You can close it off to specific users or make it public facing. But for a public facing Help Center like this, any user can come and sign in or create a profile really quickly, really easily. And what that will allow us to do, or allow them to do, is it'll allow them to make changes to their profiles, activities, change their contact details, etc. But most importantly, it'll allow them access and insight into all the requests that they logged. So these are all the requests I've logged, and signed in as this user, and I can see them all in one place, and I can see information at a glance about them, like the subject line, the unique reference number, the date it was created, as well as the last activity. No one will ever need to ask you when's the last time you worked on my ticket. And then most importantly, we can see the status of the specific query, and we can map this to say whatever you want it to say. I've got the native mappings here, so it can say as an open query, as a solve query. Further to that, we can search requests, and we can also look for requests that we are CC'd in on. And the tab that I don't have here is that we can actually show organizational requests as well. So if you're a B2B business, we can make it so that that specific business, if they're logged in and are included in a specific group on Zendesk or an organization, or share a specific domain or email address, we can show all the requests from the same company to prevent the duplication of specific and different requests. Further to that, though, is that anyone can actually log into a request and see the details of it. So here I can see this one is in Afrikaans. I can see the complete history, not just the first message. I can go into another one. If I go and have a look at my different requests, which, by the way, can be in any channel, whether it's WhatsApp, web app, web form, live chat, etc., etc. We can go and have access into those. So I'll say pre-authorization for a vasectomy. This is all I asked. I can create a follow-up, and of course, I also have that conversation in here without the need to monitor my email inbox. Further to that, and lastly, to do with this specific functionality of the Help Center, is that we can see all the unique attributes of the ticket that we expose to this signed-in user. Things like, what is the ticket about? Anything they're filled in here. If these fields are filled in on Zendesk, we can view them on the Help Center, which again just empowers the user to solve their own questions, and have a good look into the types of queries that they have requested. Now, probably the more useful aspect of the Help Center is that it's where two of my favorite channels live. Now, in Zendesk, as you may know, it is an omni-channel platform, so we do offer things like email and phone and TikTok DM, Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, Twitter mentions, Facebook wall posts, etc., etc. You name it, Zendesk can ingest it and create it into a ticket. But my two favorite channels live here on the Help Center. Number one is dynamic web forms. So at any point, the user can submit a request, either at the top or down here. And if we do select on submit a request, these are dynamic smart forms, which means they're not simply asking you for your name, your email, and what you want help with. They are asking you for specific things based on the nature of your query. So for Lemon Electrics, I'm going to go, I want to submit a general support query, which doesn't help me really for reporting purposes. We're going to go down. I can CC someone in. It's not asking for email address. It already knows who I am. I can give it my name, and then I can tell the form what the ticket is about. So I can say, where's my order? If I say, where's my order, I'll only need one piece of information, right, together, and I can't submit without filling this in. If it's a return, for example, and it's faulty, I'm going to need to know the order number as well as a little bit more about the fault. So we can beautifully build these web forms out for you using no code. I built these myself. Didn't take that long, and this is one way to collect structured data from your clients to prevent that inevitable back and forth when someone emails you saying, I need help, and you reply saying, what do you need help with? How can we help you? Is it an order-related request? Is it a competition or promo-related request? Is it this or that? We can gather this information before the ticket is actually created. And I'll show you a bit more about this type of service in the dynamic web forms. Again, it's going to ask for my name. Now I can choose, I've opted to log a repair or a service here. Product or device, I can choose my product or device. I can choose the service type. Then I can also choose a collection preference. So I can either bring it into the service center, at which point it'll ask me which service center do you want to bring it into, and when do you want to drop it off. Or alternatively, if I would like the device collected, we obviously need to gather different information like a collection address, as well as special collection or delivery instructions, and a preferred collection or drop-off date, and then anything else we need to know. These all create tickets in Zendesk. We can use this information to automatically tap into your backend and bring specific information onto the ticket, which I'll show you later in a different video. But it basically is helping us to gather structured data here without the need of this back and forth in email or phone as well. The other channel that lives on Zendesk, which I am leaning more and more towards, the better we get at this, and this is my preferred channel, is messaging. The same approach applies to WhatsApp. Now, this little widget on the bottom right can live on any website that you own. So it doesn't need to live on your help center. It can live here as well. This is where we start getting into the world of bots. Now, a lot of people have a negative experience with bots. And a lot of people hate bots. And a lot of people won't use bots or implement bots. And I think bots get a bad rap, if I'm honest. No one hates bots, but people who hate bots only hate bad bots, where they've had a bad experience. And I've had my fair share of bad experiences. So here's Lembot, and this exact bot, the same bot that'll live in WhatsApp as well, or any of your social messaging channels, just by the way, or Apple Business Messaging, you name it. If it's a messaging channel, this bot can live there. Lembot can help your customers. So Lembot is the name of the bot that I created for Lemon Electrics. So now I can ask it various questions, and I can say, for example, what is your returns policy? And I spelled it wrong because it's AI, should be able to pick it up. And what it's going to do here is, instead of passing you through to an agent, it's going to tap into multiple knowledge sources, including the Zendesk knowledge base, but also perhaps a website that you have or a public knowledge repository that you may have. And it's going to look at what I asked for. It's going to look at all the knowledge sources, internal or external to Zendesk, and give me a nice answer in a tone that I have pre-selected when setting this bot up. So here we go. Here is the returns policy. It's then going to ask me to rate my experience. This is what we call BSAT, or bot satisfaction. If I choose a negative bot satisfaction, i.e. the bottom three, it's going to route me to an agent. And if I choose a positive experience, it's going to say, great, knowledge is power, something like that. But now, that's basic intelligence. That's generative. We all know and understand generative. But now, if I want to ask a more personal question, like, where's my order? Where's my order? Now, a generative response would not be appropriate in this case, right? We aren't able to look into knowledge and say, help me with this, help me with that. What is the answer? I actually want to check something that's specific to me. So the bot's going to say, you'd like to check the status of your order, is that correct? And I'll say, yes, absolutely. Now, you can see it hasn't given me a generative response here. It's taken me down a specific flow based on what it thinks I want. So it's saying, could you please provide your order number? Absolutely. 0101. Is that right? I think that's the order number. So it's going to now tap into my backend and look up the status of my order. And here I've looked into my backend, my system where all my order statuses live, and it says your order is currently processing. And I can say thanks, and it'll reply to me. This bot is extremely conversational. It will gather enough information from you conversationally without pre-planned bot flows, which we can do, but it's being more conversational than anything else. So I can ask it anything. I can say, what should I have for dinner? Now, I don't have any knowledge for this, and because it's a ring-fenced bot, it's only looking at specific knowledge sources. It's going to politely remind me, in this case, that basic advice here: homemade fresh salad, enjoy your dinner, and that's because of the type of personality that I have programmed into this bot. Now, this bot is your key in deflecting up to 80% of your inbound queries. We can do everything from basic generative answers based on knowledge that we have, all the way through to complicated API lookups, where we perform a specific action in your backend or retrieve specific information from your backend. If I do, however, get frustrated, then we can always just go to an agent. If the bot detects that we're getting upset or frustrated, it can transfer it to an agent pretty quickly. And again, before we transfer it to an agent, we obviously need to gather specific information. We need to know things like name, email address, contact number, and what is your query about, or how we can assist before we give this to the agent, so that the agent doesn't have to necessarily waste time in asking for this information back and forth before they can actually start with the query. So we hand off into an agent, and we'll see what that looks like in one of my next videos. But again, this is where as I mentioned, two of my favorite channels live, on the Zendesk Help Centre, single repository, all your knowledge in one place. It's also where we can monitor and track our own requests as end users or clients, customers, whatever you may have. And then thirdly, it's also where we have and host two of my favorite channels, dynamic web forms, which gather information in a structured way. So we can start the query when it arrives and not have to ask for it, as well as your messaging bot, or Lembot in this case. So next we'll be touching on the ticket interface. And again, like I mentioned, this is a series of videos. So please do stay tuned and check it out. Thank you for watching.